So the other thing is what kind of oven. You can use your home oven, but if you're going to do a lot, I really recommend that you actually get one dedicated to clay, like a small toaster oven or a small convection oven. That way you can even bake outdoors or in the garage or some well-ventilated area, and you won't ever have to worry about the fumes being in your kitchen. Some people will cover objects in clay, like glass or wood or anything. Remember, anything that won't burn at 275 to 300 degrees is fine. People even wonder about the paper that I recommend you put on, or the parchment. Excuse me. Remember, if you ever read Ray Bradbury's Fahrenheit 451, you know that paper burns at 451. So as long as your oven doesn't spike to 451, you're good, and your paper won't combust either. So woods, glass, metals, paper are all good to bake in the oven. Plastics, you definitely want to check. Some plastics will melt, so you definitely want to check on your plastics before doing anything like that. Okay, now you've baked your stuff and you have some leftover clay, and you need to put it in the storage. Usually, something like Glad wrap, a plastic wrap, is great to store things in. You can take your leftover canes or just clay that you haven't used the whole block, and you can wrap it up in this plastic wrap. There are some brands, though, that just have a chemical reaction. If the plastic wrap actually has plasticizers, it's going to react with the clay here, and then the wrap will get really sticky and it'll ruin your clay. It could leach the plasticizers out of it, so your cane would be unusable. So if you're unsure, two things you can do. Number one, lots of people have already experimented, so you can go on the web and see what particular brands are good. Glad is really good. It actually says on it that it contains no plasticizers, somewhere here. So you know this is a safe one. Same with plastic bags. You can put them in Ziplocs. Most work really well. I guess I wouldn't recommend maybe some of the off brands, because sometimes if it's a thinner plastic, it might just have that reaction. But in general, you're okay. If you're unsure, check on the web, or take a couple of bags or some plastic wrap, put a little bit of clay on it and let it sit for a few days. And if you pick it up and the plastic's gotten gummy and sticky, you know a chemical reaction is going on, and that is not a good brand to be using for your storage. The other thing, you can put them in food storage containers like this. Because this is for food, the chemicals are all supposed to be inert, we hope they are, and therefore an inert plastic should store your clay well. There's other kinds of storage containers. I have ones that were used for Matchbox cars. They're nice, heavy plastic. You, again, want to put a little, before you get a plastic container, you might want to put a little bit of clay in it, let it set a few days, and make sure you don't have a reaction. The number one thing you want to avoid for any of these is if you look at it and it has a recycling number, most of the lower numbers are fine. You do not ever want to store it in one that's polystyrene, which is recycling number 6. So definitely avoid a number 6 for storage. I think that covers it. I think that's all you need to know about baking and storing.